we can open up the phone lines. But for now, if you'd like to ask a question in the chat room, that is okay. We got a lot to cover tonight with his testimony. There's a lot of things going on. One of the chat rooms, Jess, from the chat room questions I have here is why is it or something about all the, you're aware of all the fraud. You and I talked about that a lot, of all the different accusations out there of claiming you're a fraud and all this other stuff. And I'd like for you to just go ahead and address that.
Well, the reason, we'll start with Charisma Magazine. 2 years back, they had contacted me they wanted to put my testimony in their magazine. Excuse me. And I decided to go ahead and do it. I thought it would reach a lot more people, especially young people, to get out of the occults, and my aim was to help. But they did publish it, but later recanted it because there is a guy who's from the Cornerstone that isn't a very nice person. He kind of lives on both sides of the fence. And he wanted Charisma, or he talked Charisma into wanting to do a debate battle, an all-war between me and him live on a radio station, or however Charisma was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him I do not do debates, and I refuse to do that kind of stuff because God, I don't feel, wants us to do that kind of stuff. My testimony's out there to help, not to debate, about the Church of Satan and Christianity and stuff in an all-out war. And because I refused, Charisma, the guys that were with Charisma had emailed me and threatened me and called me every name in the book. And I mean, these were dirty names, and these guys are claiming to be Christians, and I'm going, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
My only comment back to them in response is, I said, like Jesus said to Judas, go do what you have to do. Because they claimed that they were going to, if I did not cooperate with them, they would write bad stuff about me. Meaning they would make up stuff if they had to.
Now, so that got the ball rolling on calling you a liar, and which is unfortunate. And then I know you and I also discovered together that Stu Webb seems to be spreading a lot of different lies. One for more, when you and I were talking the other night, on his website, we pulled up what he claims is an affidavit from you, but yet there's no signature. It's just basically a typewritten statement, and there's no signature. It's not an affidavit. It's not even a legal paper, claiming that you went to the castle in Denver and witnessed the Bush human sacrifices, President Bush Sr. And that got, and unfortunately, that is all over the internet saying that you claimed that.
Yes, I've seen it, and I can say this very clearly. He is not mentally stable in anything he does. A lot of people know that, even the police at this point. But I did not see it. I've never been to that castle in Denver or Colorado, wherever it is. I'm not even sure I know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Other than it's in Colorado somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to my dad talk about it, but I have never been there. I have never seen them do sacrifices there. I'm sure they do, if the place exists. I know my dad has been in Colorado quite a few times, but I have never been there. So what he wrote was a total lie.
And then also the whole thing with Ted Gunderson. Now, Ted Gunderson was briefly your stepfather for a while, and which I know that he actually went on record stating that you are who you say you are. And, you know, there's this little web. And for those, you know, Kathy brought up Stu Webb definitely was a guest on my show twice. And unfortunately, the last time he was on my show, I had found out later that he was intoxicated, and I had to cut the show early because he started using profanities. And anyways, and then when I started talking to you, there's this little web here of Stu Webb and you and Ted Gunderson all have experience with each other. And both Ted Gunderson and you seem to be telling the more, what would I say, your stories mesh a lot more than what Stu was saying. So I just wanted to bring that up because somebody did mention that in the chat room that, you know, Stu Webb was on our show. We thought he's a good man. You know, whatever's going on in his life, I'm not here to judge. You know, if he's a good man, great. I'm not saying he's a good man or a bad man. Don't get me wrong out there. But there's a lot of different things going on that I'm learning.
Well, I have to say this. There's a lot of fruitcakes out there, and yes, there is a lot of phonies. That about 4 years back, some lady claimed she was my sister, and I did an investigation on it. She was not, never been a sister, but she was bound to determine. So yes, I can understand why, you know, people question me, because I've been on that end too, where people try to claim that they're related to me. Quite a few people, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But found out that they were not. And I even had to get a restraining order against one of them.
Well, I know your sister Zena, she made a public statement saying, because she actually left the Anton LaVey Satan whole thing. She's still an occultist, however, but she left the Church of Satan, and now she's I don't know, I guess a leader in the Church of Set. That's S-E-T, Set. Anyways, the point is, she made a public statement, and I was able to get that up on the internet. I'm still looking for it. I wanted to actually have it put in the chat room for those that want to look at this. She made a public statement stating that her father made her sick to her stomach, and that he never told the truth about how many children he has and how many wives he's had. And that is an actual statement from Zena.
And Zena is telling the truth. I'll back her up on that.
Yeah.
He does make you sick. I can't even look at a picture of him. I don't have any pictures of him in my house or anywhere. I cannot stand to look at the man. It's like looking at Satan himself, and he made himself look that way. I do have a picture of him on a police motorcycle when he was a cop. Before I was born, it was handed down to me and by my uncle, and he was a very fine-looking person in those days. But boy, I tell you, what he did to himself for Satan's sake is a horrible thing.
Now, was he the real deal as far as, did he really worship Satan, or was he smoke and mirrors and did it for just, theater?
No, he really did.
Okay.
I mean, we're generational Satanists. This comes from my grandparents, from generation to generation. Now, he did, try to fool the public, or ever how you want to put that, so there'd be no investigation. A lot of people in publicity have listened to him, and he says, and to other people who have testified, it's just a game, it's just a entertainment thing, and it's not. But he wanted them to think that, so there would never be a question, because being a cop, he knew how the voice worked. if there was any suspicion that they did sacrifices or any of this stuff, then, there'd be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be an
Absolutely.
investigation like they did with Michael Aquino. I was called from 60 Minutes to do a spot of investigation with Ted Gunderson and another fellow, Doc Marquis, to do investigation because Michael Aquino used to be under my dad years back, and they split over an argument. Michael Aquino started Temple of Set, and he was doing some occultic things, the same as what my dad did. But but he drew investigation because of the way he was handling things different from my dad. My dad was a pretty smart cookie in the way he put up blinders.
Right. And for those that don't realize, Antony LaVey is not his real name. People are a little shocked to know that he was a cop back in his early days, and there's a lot about this man that many don't know.
Well, the real truth has never been public. A lot of the truth. I mean, some of it was, but what you call half-truth. And my parents weren't very truthful at all about a lot of things. There was some things I found out a couple of years ago that I didn't know. I didn't ever see his FBI record. I mean, he has a long record. Things he did that I didn't even know. Of organized crime, all kinds of stuff. And it's pretty shocking. He never told the truth to his own kids.
Right. Now let's talk a little bit about the Council of 13 that's been brought up in the chat room. I know you don't see the chat room.
I kind of like to finish my testimony.
Okay, go ahead.
Getting back to my testimony, when I accepted Christ, and this man who had worked with me from the Vineyard Christian Fellowship for so many years, he spent a lot of time with me, and he was also a PhD in counseling too, so it really helped. You can't just erase the past. I mean, he had to go back to my early childhood and bring me forward in counseling, and it took 5 years to heal from a lot of things that my dad did to me, because my dad did do a lot of abuse, physical abuse, and even rape and torture, a lot of things, try to make me change my mind. But somehow God's protection has been around me since the day I was born. My dad could never convince me to change. I always had God's protection around me. I mean, my dad's tried, he has shot me, he has hit me, he has abused me highly. Some things I don't even want to mention on here, that they're just too R-rated, the things he's done.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we should look at is God's protection is real. I mean, if anything, I'm so thankful that I didn't murder like my dad's murdered in rituals, actual murdering a child or a human being, period. God didn't let me get that far. I did do some things with my dad in the organized crime, but not murder. And I praise the Lord that I don't have to live with that conscience. God's protection was great.
Right.
And God already had in mind something bigger for me, so he kept me under his protection. He allowed some things to happen, but he always directed me back to him by putting other people in my life besides that pastor that brought me to Christ. he's brought several different Christian